right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folks. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter, and it looks like we have got the Statterbox crew waiting for the day. Fantastic to see you guys. Good to see you, Gina. Good to see you, Kenny. How's it, Shock? Happy to see you. All right, let's see here. And according to moderationist in the house, Shakalaka, we do have the gear. So, as usual, if Twitch is being twitchy, feel free to downgrade to get your stream stabilized. Looks like eMusic is in the house. Fantastic. All right, so before we get the party started, why don't we get the party started? All right. Yeah, I do believe that the central contingent is a little bit absent, but we do have somebody, I believe, from the central time zone here in the crew right now. I know that Rick and Darlene are off doing their thing, and I know that Anne hasn't showed face yet, but I'm sitting here looking at eMusic right here, so I think we've got our central time folk in the house representing just like usual. And so, all right. I want to thank you guys for hanging out last night at Statterbox at the cinema, if you happen to be there. We watched Whip It, and I have to tell you, as someone who hasn't been involved in roller derby for many years, for reasons, well, you know, it kind of made me reminisce. It kind of brought some tears to my eye, made me a little bit emotional. And that's right, Kenny from the Cove. I forget that Kenny is in that time zone as well, because Texas is its own thing, and Texas has its own time zone, right? No, it does not. But one thing Texas might have, although I'm not really sure exactly what that is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Texas has its own style of barbecue sauce. And that, my friends, today is what we might be talking about. We're talking about it's gonna be a Saucy Sunday. That is right. Sauce time Sunday. Last Sunday we talked salmon, and then I thought afterwards, I was like, I wonder what kind of sauce would be yummy on salmon. It's true story, that's how that happened. So I figured today we could talk a little bit about things and stuff regarding sauces, and going down the little rabbit hole that I did for this show, I realized and found out that like so many southern states have what they call their barbecue sauce, but as much as I hear of Texas barbecue, I didn't stumble upon any Texas-style barbecue sauces, so that was a little bit weird. Gina, you didn't know I did roller derby. What was my name? My name was Mad Statter because I actually was not a skater. During the beginning part of my roller derby career, I managed to break my ankle on skates so badly that it took years of recovery, basically. In fact, 10 years later, I'm not sure I'm still 100%. I mean, I know I'm not 100%. So a metal point in my ankle and 6 screws later, I decided I would not be a roller derby skater. I would become a roller derby official. And so I was a non-skating official. I worked with several leagues, including Rat City Roller Girls, which was one of the first original, I believe, 3 leagues that are part of the Women's Flat Track Derby Association, which is the governing body for flat track roller derby. So I also need to be clear, when I say that I was involved in roller derby, I was not involved in the bank track roller derby that most people think of as soon as you say those words. It's actually a variant of the sport that takes place on a flat track as opposed to a bank track. Bank tracks are very difficult. Bank track leagues are few and far between right now. Even at right now, every roller derby league is few and far in between thanks to, the last couple years. But before it got put on hold and the sport was growing, flat track roller derby vastly outnumbered bank track roller derby because bank track roller derby takes a lot more money. You first off have to have the money to build the banked track. And then when you have the banked track that you've built, you have to have an area to store it in. The bank track does, come apart into pieces, but it's still a very large piece. It's still a lot of stuff, and so not many leagues have the money to build the track, pay for rental for storing the track, pay for transportation to transporting the track to a venue that is big enough for the track that they can then rent to to put on bouts or to do practice. So, bank track is a lot more complicated than flat track, because flat track, all you need is a flat surface. And while I was going off here on the roller derby trend, it looks like Mariana came in. Now, I will say, with all of the southern recipes that I was stumbling upon for barbecue sauce, Texas and Florida, neither of those southern states managed to get their own barbecue sauce. But we will be talking about one particular state that has a barbecue sauce that I think it sounds delicious, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to get angry at it. And so let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, barbecue sauce tends to be a bit more spicy than sweet, but Texas barbecue, if good, comes with no sauce or sauce on the side. Sauce ain't the star of the show in Texas. Yeah, that is actually how I prefer my barbecue as well, for the most part. When it comes to a barbecued rib, I can handle a glaze of barbecue sauce, like at the end, to make it kind of candied and sweet. But in regards to like a brisket or anything like that, I agree. I don't really, I don't particularly, I'm not one who's looking for the sauce, basically. But on the other hand, sometimes it is nice to have a little dipping sauce for this, that, and t'other. And so I'm going to actually share with you guys a little saucy sauce recipe that I have, but we're going to do that later. And Shock, you're saying mustard? Yeah, mustard, that is definitely what is known as North Carolina, I think. No. The mustard sauce is South Carolina. South Carolina claims the golden barbecue sauce. That's a South Carolina. Apparently, that's their thing. Now, I had never heard of mustard sauce before. A few years ago, I'd heard of it, and it kind of offended me. But then I tasted it, and well, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of tasty. So, Shock, you like the brisket squishy and no sauce. Fair enough. Yes, and we discussed this on our last Chatter with Statter. So to recap, don't go to the barbecue shack outside of Woodstock, New York, as per the recommendation from the last stream, because they don't even do their own stuff there. They don't even smoke their own Q. And it looks like Andre's in the house. He once went to a barbecue that had 3 sauces. He had to get them at the condiment station. They had mustard, white sauce, as well as regular barbecue sauce. Exactly. And Kenny, Stubbs does make a pretty good sauce, and that's available in grocery stores. That is true. Stubbs is a smidge. The variety. Okay, Stubbs has a couple varieties. The variety that I tried, it was a little bit too spicy for me. I'm not a spicy person, and I've definitely, and it seems like a lot of barbecue people really do enjoy the spicy spice, and let's see here. Oh, Mariana, very random. Still, if it's random, this is where you ask it. Has anybody watched the Elvis movie? You're trying to see if it's worth renting, the new one called Elvis. I haven't seen it, but isn't Tom Hanks in that? Like, doesn't he play Colonel Potter? I mean, no, it's not Colonel Potter, because that's from MASH. But the manager, Colonel Parker. The manager. Isn't Tom Hanks the guy who plays the manager of Elvis in the new thing? I haven't seen it. Clearly. So yeah, if anybody knows anywhere, so let's see here. So Mariana, I'm not making stuff up. He is. You just watched the trailer. It reminds you of Walk the Line, which is one of your favorite movies. Okay. And Kenny's coming in. Yes, Colonel Parker. Okay, so I wasn't just making that up. I mean, the Potter part, obviously. Let's see here. Andre, you're not a fan of Elvis, and if you were to see one, you would go for the OG Elvis. Well, yeah, but those are movies that are out. This is a brand new movie. You know, this is a whole new take on the thing. And so, so yeah, doesn't sound like necessarily anybody's seen it yet. So, Mariana, you just might have to take one for the team and go rent it and come back with your review. I mean, you don't have to, but you're welcome to. Oh, awesome, Shock. You just ripped Walk the Line for an upcoming Chalkatorium. Chalkatorium. Excellent. I have not seen that movie yet, but I did hear it was very good. I did hear that it was very good. That's the one with Joaquin Phoenix playing Johnny Cash, correct? That's the one where Joaquin Phoenix plays Johnny Cash, right? And doesn't What's-Her-Face play June? You know, that chick. Gosh. I want to say Reese Witherspoon. Doesn't Reese Witherspoon play June? June Carter Cash? Okay, so... All right, so Mariana, you're coming in with all of the facts that I'm not making up. Yes, okay, it is the movie with Joaquin Phoenix, and it is with Reese Witherspoon. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I remember being really impressed because, okay, now this I'm 97% sure I'm probably making up, but I might not be. I feel like when that movie came out, I saw some clips where she and Joaquin were singing as June and Johnny would do, and Reese was a really good singer. Like, I mean, actually, I think I have this memory that she sounded better to my ear than June Carter Cash ever did, and no offense to the Carter Cash family, because they are country royalty, and I am not diminishing their role in country music at all, but June Carter Cash, her voice was kind of hard to take. It was kind of hard to take, yeah. And okay, so they do sing a lot of the Johnny and June, and they're really good. Okay, so I'm not making that up. I had it in my head that I was more impressed with Reese's version of June Carter, June Carter's voice than June Carter's version of June Carter's voice. Apology to the Carter Cash family. I'm not trying to cast shadows or throw dispersions or whatever. Cast dispersion, whatever. I'm not trying to be all snarky. It's just, you know, some people sound better than others, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Let's see here. And Mariana, I like some of the movie songs better, but to be fair, the music in the movie is a lot more lively than the actual songs, more modern sounding. Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind. Gosh, you know, talking about this movie, I, hope that you see the Elvis movie so you can give us little tips and your opinion on that. And B, I'm super stoked to see it on Shock's movie night now. I'm very, very excited. No aspersion casting. That's what I'm trying to say. And let's see here. Andre, yeah, and then also sound engineering is just better now than it was. Very, very true. Very, very true. And yeah, Mariana, Shock does have a movie night. It's not necessarily, because she actually has a life where she goes and does things, there have been occasions that it has been skipped. But for the most part, Friday nights, right after Billy V Live, so probably, I don't know, Mariana, if I've ever seen you on a Billy V show. Billy V starts his show around 9 p.m. your time on Friday nights. So between like 9:30 and 9:45 p.m. is probably when Shock's movie night would start in your neck of the woods. So it's a little bit late for the East Coast, but Shock's on the East Coast, so I guess it's not that late. So yeah, I'd be super stoked if you could show up, and yeah, if your schedule works out, I'd be excited to see you over on Shaq's Twitch stream as well. So that so basically, you know, what we've done here is, between Photo Luke, me, and Shock, and then, of course, Terry in Scotland, you can pretty much find a Hamajang Gang convention every day of the week at some point during the day. So it's quite nice that we've been able to take over the slots that Andy has left wide open, because I obviously cannot speak for anybody else, but I know that I really, really miss Andy. I really miss Andy. I really miss his show. I really miss Andy. And I think it's great. It just makes me so excited that even though it's not exactly the same crowd that Andy gathered every week, because he was on so many different platforms, it just makes me feel warm and fuzzy when I see the Hamajang Gang still hanging out. And speaking of Hamajang Gang and Andy's show and missing things, we have not had a Lono video in quite some time, and I believe it's time to change that.
Faces when they tell me to turn down in these places, but I know what they want. Play the kind of music, then they tell me turn it up. I believe in love, yes I believe it. I believe in love, I believe in you. Yes I believe in love. Of funny things, she goes out to buy brand new cars and diamond rings, but I know what she wants. Play her kind of music, then she tells me turn it up. I believe in love, yes I believe it. I believe in love, I believe in you. I believe in love, yes I believe.
There we have it, Rabbit. So I figured that was a perfect segue, because Lono, part of the OG Hamajang Gang, SD Dodger coming in of the OG Hamajang Gang, We're all OG Hamajang gang here. Even if you don't feel like you're OG, you're here, you're OG. There we have it, man. That's the ruling from the Statterbox crew. That's the ruling. So awesome, SD Dodger. You will probably take some pics. Excellent, excellente. And SD Dodger, you got it. That's right. You chat, therefore you Hamajang. That is precisely it. And even those who are just lurkers, by the way, hey lurkers and K crew, you're still part of the Hamajang gang and the Statterbox crew too. Even if nobody else knows it but you know it. You know it to be true. All right. So, let's see here. So, I had a bunch of people email me this, and honestly, it had crossed my news feed, but I didn't really give it much thought. But then a bunch of people kept emailing me this thing, and so I was like, all right, I'll bite. I'll go look. I'll read the story, and oh my goodness. All right, so I'm not so sure if you guys, I think this might have hit nationwide news, actually. Hey, Cindy, good to see you. Good to see you, speaking of OG Hamajang gang. You just missed our Lono, our Lono video, but that's okay. That's okay. You know where to find Lono videos. If you're coming in late and you don't know who or what Lono video is and you need to go figure it out, go to YouTube. Do a YouTube search for Lono music, and boom, right there. You'll see it, you'll listen to it, and you're gonna love it, because that's just how that works. All right, so, as I was saying, a bunch of people sent this stuff to me, and you guys might have heard of this, because I do believe it actually made nationwide news, because this normally doesn't happen. And this is probably a quirk of circumstance why it happened. But on the other hand, this should not have happened. So what we're going to do here, and by the way, you guys, all right, so if you're afraid of big bugs, now is the time to look away. But it's actually kind of a pretty bug. Anyway, we're going to look at a big bug. So, oops, no, that's the map of where the big bug comes from, but we're not gonna look at that yet. Gall dang it. I didn't mean to give that one first. All right, so, everything is wrong. I loaded all these pictures in the wrong order. Oh, shock, too bad. Your K-cup machine is kaput. That's a bummer. All right, see this, guys? This is the Atlas moth. It's also known as the snakehead moth because, as you might be able to see on the tips of the wings, it looks like a side of a snakehead. It is about 10 inches across. This picture was taken in Bellevue, Washington last week. Okay, maybe 10 days ago. Now, that moth normally belongs in all of those countries that are red. And do you see why it's called the snakehead moth? Because a little snaky snake. It scares away other snakes with its face, its fake face. But anyway, 10 inches across, huge thing. Only 2 times in the history of the world, apparently, has this moth been seen out in the wild outside of this geographical area. One time was in England when it escaped from a private collection. And the other time was last week in my state, in Bellevue, Washington. Now, they have no idea how or where this moth came from, and given the climate in our area, it most likely would never survive. The person who took this picture captured the moth, froze it to kill it humanely, and then sent it to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I think, to ID it, because at the time when they saw the moth, they had no idea what it was. But anybody who lives in the Pacific Northwest can tell you, we don't have moths that look like that. We don't have moths that are even anywhere that big. So, hey, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, how you doing? We're talking about a huge moth that was found in my state earlier this week, or this month, excuse me. And Kenny from the Cove, you are 14 trillion steps ahead of me, my friend. That is exactly my point. We don't know where it came from. We don't know how it got here. Because of the climate in our area, it's so unlike the climate in that part of the world. My best guess is it's not going to gain a foothold in the area. On the other hand, No one knows where it came from or how it got here. Is it the only one? Did it come in a stack of plants? I mean, a shipment of plants, a stack of plants. There's a lot of questions that that no one has answers to. Now, there is a rumor that there was a local to the Puget Sound area eBay seller that was advertising as selling the Atlas moth cocoons or pupa, selling the babies. And so it's quite possible that was the source of it. And C. Honda, exactly, in Japan, we call that Mothra. Precisely. So good to see you, by the way. And so I don't know if we're going to see more of these. I don't know if this is a one-off quirk of circumstance. Nobody really knows. But the idea that something that exotic ended up out in the wild, because like I said, this has only really happened 2 times that they know in history, and one time was in England when the moth escaped from a private collection. So there was a private collection. They were able to track back where it came from. But this one, they have no idea. And let's see here. Didn't we get murder hornets in Washington? And aren't they also from Asia? Yes, we did get murder hornets in Washington. Vancouver, BC got them first, I think. But yeah, and I think that murder hornets are more though from they're not Southeast Asia. They're from areas that are obviously cold enough that the murder hornets, and by the way, that's not their real name, and I wish I could remember what the real name is. I think they're actually just called giant Asian hornets. Vanilla Kapusi, they're from China. See, I thought that they were from Japan, but either way, they're from a part of Asia that is cold enough that the hornets can and do survive over winter here in the Pacific Northwest. They've got a very similar, apparently, territory and climate from where they're from and where they're now at. So that's a bit of a problem. It's a huge problem, actually, no pun intended. And I'm doubting that we're going to see that kind of a problem with the Atlas moth, but good Lord, I don't want to see subtropical insects hitting my neck of the woods. I just, And let's see here. Gina Gamba coming in with a lot of big words that I'm not sure I can say. So let me go scroll back up for a second. Oh, shoot. I can't scroll back up when I'm doing... Sometimes my computer wants me to do things that I don't. So, lepidopterophobia Lepidopterophobia is the fear of butterflies or moths. But you're specifically afraid of moths and not butterflies. Gina, that is the stupidest thing ever. And the reason why I say that is because so am I. Like, what? That makes no sense. One is pretty, one is ugly. One is maybe, no, they all have like dust. It just, why are we silly like that? Why are we silly like that? I don't like moths either, but butterflies, yeah, they don't bother me. Butterflies flutter by and they're just peaceful to watch. Whereas moths just like, don't get near me. What? So when I said that's the stupidest thing ever, I really didn't mean it in a very hoity-toity way. I meant it in a, what is wrong with us way? We're so silly. And let's see here. Oh, Mariana, you're in the middle of a lightning storm. Hopefully you'll be able to keep your powers so you can hang out here. And let's see here. Love. Oh, great. So SD Dodger. Oh boy. Thank you. Let's try this. Wait. Lepidopterophobia. I like that. Let's go with that. I have no idea if that's how you say it. But let's do that. We're gonna say that. And Kenny from the Cove. Well, first up, Kenny, murder hornets. What's next? Mugger bees, scammer raccoons. Scammer raccoons. Yeah, that's been going on for years, right? Those little trash pandas. And And let's see here, Andre. Oh, Andre, you know, maybe you have hit the nail on the head there. The moths run into you, butterflies do not. And moths do surprise you at night. Yeah, it's not really the at night part, but you're right. Moths run into you and butterflies don't. So that's a good one. And let's see. Cobra chickens? Yes, cobra chickens are something, though. Cobra chickens are something that I think is everywhere. In fact, cobra chickens, for those of you who don't know, they're also known as Canadian geese. Cobra chickens come from the land of Vanilla Coke Pepsi. That's right. That's right. That's where the cobra chickens come from. Cobra chickens and trash pandas. Raccoons and Canadian geese. There we have it. So, let's see here. Let's see. Okay, cool. Doesn't look like... All right. So. Excellent. All right, so... As promised, I was thinking we could, get a little saucy. Saucy, yeah, that's right. We're going to get a little saucy today. Sauce Talk Wednesday. What planet am I on? Who am I? It's Sauce Talk Sunday. Yeah, there you go. And let's see. SD Dodger, I don't know if you're telling a joke or not, so I'm going to let you finish your joke, because I think you might be telling a joke. How can you tell the difference between geese and Canadian geese? I'm waiting to hear the ba-dum-bum. Thank you. We'll be here all week. And let's see here. You don't like snakes, Andre, and now all your Facebook feeds have them in them. I don't know why. I don't know why all the snakes are in there. Oh, it's not a joke? Oh, so you don't know? Oh, you don't know? Well, regular geese are either like a solid, gray or a solid white, whereas the Canadian geese are kind of a taupe, and then they've got little black, sort of like masks, sort of like trash pandas, sort of like sort of like raccoons. So, yeah, although there is another kind of goose called a gackling goose, and the gackling goose looks almost identical to the Canadian goose, only it's smaller and squatter in stature, and it has a very different wing pattern when it flies. We have both gackling geese and Canadian geese in the Puget Sound area, and it wasn't until recently that they realized that the gackling geese is actually a subspecies of, or maybe it's a completely different species. In bird counts, they always considered gackling geese and Canadian geese to be counted under the same Canadian geese category. And it wasn't until a few years ago, or maybe a decade ago, I mean, time, what is time, really? So a few years ago, they realized, oh, even though they look alike, they're actually not alike at all. Like, they are different. And so gackling geese are gackling geese, and Canadian geese are Canadian geese, but most people probably can't tell them apart. That's just how it works. And exactly, Kenny, Canadian geese will scrap you for your jacket. Vanilla Coke Pepsi, you like snakes? They're fun. I don't know if snakes are exactly fun, but I do enjoy a good snake. Have you ever kept a snake as a pet? And if so, what kind of snake did you keep? I used to have a snake. It was a Colombian red-tailed boa constrictor. It ended up getting to be about 8.5 feet before I had to get rid of it because it started looking at my other animals as food, and it was just like, no. Oh, that's right, you have a ball python. I think we've had this conversation before. Ball pythons are actually my favorite pet snake. They have such personalities. I really love ball pythons. I know that's a really strange thing to say about a snake. They have a personality? Yes, they do. They do have personalities. And let's see here. Shock, you babysat a ghost morph corn snake and some other less interesting snake for a few months once. Right on. Did you have to feed it? Did you have to feed them the little pinkies? The little miceys? So let's see here. And SD Dodger. Oh, you're funny. I'm going to steal David Attenborough's job. Okay. a lot of random little stuff that I happen to know. And I was chuckling to myself as I was babbling about the Gackling geese because I was just like, really? Why do you know this? How do you know this? What do you know? I knew it though. And shock, no pinkies. If you give them live food, you'll never get them to eat frozen again. Well, right, but you can get frozen pinkies. I was talking about frozen. You can get frozen pinkies. So I just assumed, because I assumed they were little enough that you weren't gonna. I assumed they were little enough that you weren't gonna be feeding them the stuff that I fed my snake. So yeah. Yeah, because you can get the frozen pinkies. It's just gross. It's gross, but that snake was kind of big. Oh, okay. So you probably were feeding them like the real deals. Okay, yeah, it's sort of similar to probably what I was feeding them. Gotcha. And Andre, when you got to feed them rabbits, they're too big in my mind as snakes go. Yeah, and that's basically where it got to be with my snake, Alabama. She was getting big enough for rabbits, and obtaining enough food for her to eat was difficult and expensive, and she was starting to look at my cats like food, which meant I couldn't let her free roam the house like I used to, and it just didn't work. And Kenny from the Cove, I just don't get snakes as pets. What do you do with them? Play fetch the rats, take them out for a slither? Well, actually, no to most of what you just said, but I used to take Alabama to parks and let her roam around the grass. I used to let her roam around the yard. You do take them out, let them stretch their leg or whatever, stretch their spine. But basically, you just take care of them. I don't know. I didn't get Alabama as a conscious choice in the sense that it's like, I'm going to go get a snake today. I took Alabama from a friend of mine who had her since she was a baby. And then he just neglected her completely. And one day I was over at his house, him and his girlfriend's house, and he wasn't there. He hadn't been there for weeks. And his girlfriend was like, I don't know what to do with this snake. And I was just like, I do. And I just took his snake. So took his snake. And oh, Mariana, your power cut out. Well, I'm glad you're still here. And I'm glad the TV restarted. Back to your little house in the prairie. How cute. And Mariana's snakes as pets, not you. Yeah, well, you and a lot of people in Florida, not you. Because, boy, oh boy, you guys have a serious problem in the Everglades with all those formerly pet pythons, and that's what I'm talking about, folks. Like that, the Everglades now have pythons that live as an invasive species, but they're so acclimated to that type of environment that they were able to successfully reproduce and kind of take over the area, and that's exactly what I don't want to see in something like, well, a murder hornet, but that ship has sailed, and it's something that I don't want to see with the big old Atlas moth that came into town the other day. That's just not what I want to see. And yeah, exactly, C. Honda. It was a mercy adoption for a snake. That is right. And Alabama did not have a leash, but she was a super chill snake. Like, there was this one time that, I don't know what happened, but like I don't even remember how it happened, but a fluorescent lighting fixture fell on her cage and smashed the fluorescent lighting tubes all in her cage, all over her. She was just covered with tiny shards of fluorescent tubing glass. And she didn't flinch, and so I got out the vacuum because I didn't know what else to do. And I just vacuumed her up and then, cleaned her up otherwise. But she was just like, snowing glass, whatever. Dear diary, it snowed glass today. It was weird. So, yeah, I don't know. She was very, very mellow. Very, very mellow. And snow. And so, let's see here. Cindy, let's see here. Your daughter has a snake that wrapped her up when she was feeding it. Took forever to get someone to help her get it off of her. She has someone else feed it now. It's huge. Well, yeah, actually, that's another reason why I had to get rid of the snake, because because for safety reasons. I live by myself, right? And so once a snake gets to be, like 9 feet long, technically speaking, you kind of need, when you've got big snakes like that, you're supposed to have, I mean, ask any snake handler, for every 3 foot of snake, you need one person to handle it. So if you've got a 9-foot snake, like I did, technically speaking, there should be 3 people available to handle that snake whenever that snake is loose. Because if it decides to wrap, you need the other, snakes are strong. So, you need the body power to overcome that snake. And so I knew that for my own sense of safety, it was getting to be a bad idea to have a snake that large. And so I'm not at all surprised, Cindy, that she needed help to get out. I mean, I don't know how big that snake was, but if it was more than 4 feet long, not at all surprised. Not at all surprised that she needed help disengaging herself from that animal. So yeah, let's see here. And Mariana's saying, whenever you go in the backyard, you stomp around because everyone said they're deaf and they can feel the vibrations. So you stomp around so they'll go away. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And where you live, I would too, dude, because you've got, I mean, honestly, as strange as it sounds, I'm less afraid of the 12-foot long escaped python in the Everglades than I am of, say, like the cottonmouth or the copperhead or whatever other kind of venomous snake you all might have. It might be a little bit smaller, but it's got venom. And I am way more concerned about venomous snakes than I am about the big old squeezy kind. And it's Cindy Krause. Yes, it's fatter than your arm and over 5 feet. I try not to look at it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was exactly the type of snake that needed to have more than one person around when they're handling it, right? And, oh, Mariana, you guys have rattlesnakes. Interesting. I always think of rattlesnakes as a drier, like desert creature. But yeah, okay, you do have the cottonmouths. And I figured you had the cottonmouths. But yeah, rattlesnakes are flippin' terrifying. Are you kidding me? Yeah. And I'm sure that you are stomping when you're hiking. I like how you qualified that. When I'm hiking. Okay, Mariana. So, all right. So there must be some method to our madness because you thought they were a desert thing too, but diamondback rattlesnakes are around your area. All right then. All right. SD Dodger, you went to a shop yesterday. On their board it said 6 days without a rattlesnake. Oh, I don't know if I want to know what the. I have a lot of questions about that. What were you shopping for? Why did they have rattlesnakes? Are you telling me that rattlesnakes like just come into the shop? Is that what that means? That sometimes there's a rattlesnake in the shop? Or just on the premises? Or like, I'm kind of getting a little bit of a heart palpitation here, my friend. 6 days without a rattlesnake. Oh, get out of Dodge. And so, yeah, that's what you're telling me. Yep, I'm picking up what you're laying. Wow. No, I don't want to go to that store, SD Dodger. You can go to that store. You can go to that store by yourself. And Andre, yeah, I guess rattlesnakes are all over. We don't have any rattlesnakes up here. Western Washington, Eastern Washington, we have them, but western side of the mountains, we don't have anything venomous like that at all. I think the biggest snake we have on the western side of the mountains in Washington is a thing called a rubber boa, and it's the northernmost boa constrictor classified snake in the world. It survives in the coldest climate of all the boa constrictor snakes. but it's a boa constrictor. It's not a venomous snake at all. And honestly, I've never seen one except for like on the side of the road, and it kind of looks like a rubber tire. I would definitely never notice one in the woods. They turn into shadows. And Kenny from the Cove, you once reeled in a catfish from the Lampasas River with a water moccasin, cottonmouth attached to it. Yeah, you surrendered your fish. Pretty much, dude. Yeah, there you go. I think that you made a gosh darn dare good decision, my friend. And Cindy Krause, anything that doesn't die after you cut its head off is creepy, if you ask me. It is, although I think that they do die. I think it's just, isn't it just like nervous twitches that make it seem like they're not dead? Right? I mean, it's still freaky, but like they do die, don't they? Don't they? Let's see here. Rattlesnakes do hibernate, and that would be a nightmare to fall into a snake pit of rattlesnakes. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Let's see here. So, rattlesnakes, yes, a lot of snakes can swim. I'm not surprised that rattlesnakes can swim. I mean, water moccasins are called that for a reason. But you'd be surprised at what can swim, you know? Well, I mean, actually you wouldn't, because you were here. You saw the moose jump into the water, later to be eaten by a whale. I mean, we didn't see that part, but it could have happened. And Cindy, oh, I don't like what you're saying, Cindy. So fish die a short time after decapitation. A rattlesnake will coil up to strike without a head hours later. Creepy. That is creepy. Yeah, that's creepy. Yeah, that's creepy. All right, so oddly enough, this snake talk does vaguely wrap around, see what I did there, to what we were going to talk about on Saucy Talk Sunday, because as I might have mentioned earlier in this stream, my snake's name was Alabama. And Alabama has a very, very interesting barbecue sauce, and it happens to be white. Uh-oh, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. That's what I wanted. It's Alabama white barbecue sauce. It's mayonnaise based, y'all. And it was originally created in 1925 by Big Bob Gibson. Big Bob Gibson, excuse me. And he puts it on a smoked chicken. And white barbecue sauce, mayonnaise based barbecue sauce seems like an aberration, but apparently it's very tasty. And Cindy Krause, you want to know how to make it? Well, shoot, gosh darn heck fork, I can do that for you. Why don't we do this right now then? How to make Alabama white sauce. That's right, you guys. You don't need to cook this on the stovetop. You don't need to do nothing. It's probably the easiest barbecue sauce you'll ever make. Make sure you got the following ingredients, my friends. Mayonnaise, apple cider vinegar, brown sugar, brown mustard, lemon juice, prepared horseradish, salt, black pepper, and cayenne pepper. Now, yeah, Kenny from the Cove. I knew somebody was gonna come in. Northern Alabama white barbecue sauce just looks wrong. It does look weird and wrong, but I do think that given the ingredients listed on this thing, and by the way, Cindy, I know that these aren't, this isn't an ingredient list with what am I trying to say? With amounts in it. I will send you a recipe for it, because there's actually a bunch of different recipes. There's a bunch of different recipes for this. I went down a rabbit hole. Some of them include horseradish, some of them don't. Some of them include white, some of them use white distilled vinegar, some of them use apple cider vinegar. Now, apparently, according to a YouTube video I was watching, if you get Big Bob Gibson's cookbook, they will have the original recipe in it. And the original recipe uses neither distilled white vinegar nor apple cider vinegar. What it uses is what's known as Alabama vinegar. And Alabama vinegar apparently is 1 cup vinegar to a half a cup apple juice. So, which is a little different than apple cider vinegar. So there's a lot of different variations. And yeah, Cindy, you're on the phone, so it's pretty small. Yeah, I'll send you a link to some recipes, but then also probably I will put a recipe for this particular sauce in the comment, or in the descriptions once I post this up on YouTube. And by the way, for all you who aren't catching this live and who are watching it on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you can see and get notified, so you can see these Chatter with Statter shows after we've done them live, which we do live on Twitch every Wednesday and Sunday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. So if you're on YouTube watching, come try to check us out on Twitch live and join the chat. All right, so that was a little commercial for me there. And it looks like Picola T came in, just got back from relaxing on a garden aisle getaway. Holy crumb, girl, you're all Maui bound, Kauai bound. Yes, sirree. SD Dodger, you need to see someone trying the sauce for the first time. I actually am going to be making the sauce. I'm only missing one ingredient. I'm only missing one ingredient, which is prepared horseradish. So once I grab that from the store, I will be making this sauce. And you might not see a reaction video of it, but I will definitely let all y'all know. I'll let all y'all know what I think of it, etc., etc. And Kenny from the Cove, I can post it on Facebook. I can also post the recipe on Facebook, so I'll do that as well. So now though, we've discussed that. Okay, so we've already covered two things, right? We've got the Alabama white barbecue sauce, and then we've got the South Carolina gold barbecue sauce. But there are actually other types of barbecue sauces that this country lays claim to, and apparently Kentucky has a particular barbecue sauce that they use on mutton. Like, what? I didn't even know that Kentucky was known for their mutton barbecue. And Picola T, North Carolina vinegar barbecue sauce. Yes, and South Carolina's got their mustard barbecue sauce. And so what I'm gonna do now is basically I'm stealing a video. That's right, I'm stealing a video. And this video is about the 5 types of barbecue sauces in the United States that this particular creator, like the French have their 5 mother sauces, this particular creator considers these the 5 mother sauces of barbecue. And so, let's see if I can find it out. Yes, here we go. Let's watch this video.
Five mother sauces that define barbecue. So I'm going to walk you through each of the 5 mother sauces, and the idea is that you can use this as a template to create your own versions. In Kentucky, they separate themselves from the barbecue pact with their love of mutton, but it's also a black Worcestershire-based barbecue sauce that reigns king in the state. I'm going to start out with 2 cups of water. We'll add to that half a cup of firmly packed brown sugar, and it gets its black barbecue sauce name with a half a cup of Worcestershire sauce, another half cup of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of white pepper, and sort of the secret ingredient, half of a teaspoon of allspice. So we'll bring this to a boil, we'll reduce it down to a simmer for about 10 minutes. And again, we're really not looking for this to thicken up. It's still gonna be a very watery sauce. Okay, now that this has reached a boil, I've just reduced it down. It's been simmering for about 10 minutes, and it's still gonna be a very loose concoction. It's gonna really cut against the gamey flavor of the mutton. And it may sound a little bit strange to have a black barbecue sauce, but I promise it's been a favorite in Appalachia. It'll be a favorite in your home as well. In South Carolina, we change everything up with a mustard-based barbecue sauce. Now, most people will tell you that this sauce was derived due to the German immigrants that originally settled the area. And you can't have a mustard-based sauce without, well, yellow mustard. So we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of prepared yellow mustard. For some acidity, we're gonna add to that 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. For some sweetness, we've got 1/2 cup of honey. We'll add in 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, another tablespoon of some ketchup, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of white pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper for some heat. And we'll just whisk this until everything forms. Okay, so now that it's come together, I like to put this into a jar and let it set up in the fridge overnight. It's gonna really help bring those flavors together. And I'll just warm it until I'm ready to serve. It's one of my favorite condiments for French fries, onion rings, pulled pork, pork chops, and the best, smoked sausage. When most people think about barbecue sauce, they think about a sweet sauce that you find in Memphis and St. Louis and Kansas City. So let's put one of these together. We're gonna start out with a cup of water. And then we'll add to that 1 cup of ketchup. And I mentioned sugar, so we're gonna add a good bit of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of loosely packed brown sugar. We're gonna add in just about 1/3 cup of apple cider vinegar. So again, not too much acidity. To add in even more sweetness, we're gonna add in 1.5 tablespoons of molasses. It's gonna give it a really nice, rich, dark color. And add some more sweetness. We've got a tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of fresh cracked pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and finally 1 teaspoon of celery salt. Now that we've got all that mixed and combined, we want to bring this to a slow and steady boil. We'll reduce the heat and cook it until it's just thickened. So we brought our sauce up to a boil. Now I've just reduced the heat down to low for about 10 minutes and simmered it until it's just thickened. And I like to serve this sauce with smoked chicken, ribs, pulled pork, or in my case, on top of some pulled pork nachos. So let's walk through the Eastern Carolina barbecue sauce. Now, truth be told, the purist of this sauce will only tell you that you need apple cider vinegar, salt, and crushed red pepper. Now, I've made a few additions here. So, classic, we're gonna start out with 3/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. We'll add in 1/2 cup of ketchup. I like this because it kind of rounds things out. It adds more acidity to play off of that apple cider vinegar. We'll add in some lemon juice, about 1 tablespoon. So instead of crushed red pepper, I'm gonna add in some cayenne pepper, just 1 teaspoon. That's gonna add some heat. 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar for sweetness. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of fresh cracked pepper. Now this is a sauce that you're typically gonna have on chopped pork as kind of a base for your ribs, chicken, something that you would never put on beef. So now everything's in. I just wanna make sure that I thoroughly combine the sauce. I like this because right now it's ready to rock and roll. We don't have to heat it up or anything else. And then I will use this as a sauce to fold in with some chopped or pulled pork, smoked chicken, or as a base for my ribs. Alabama, specifically Northern Alabama, is known for its mayonnaise-based white sauce. We start out with just 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. I'm using Duke's mayonnaise here. We'll add to that 2 tablespoons of water and 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of light brown sugar. For more acidity, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of some lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and for a little bit of spice, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Just wanna make sure that I stir this completely together. Okay, now that it's all come together, I just like to chill this for about an hour until it's ready to serve. It's one of my favorite sauces for smoked chicken, on chicken wings, as a beef brisket side, or my secret ingredient to a potato or shrimp salad. When you're traveling, you'll find that different pitmasters adjust their flavors to their tastes and preferences. There's no right rules, just what tastes good, go for it.
All right, so there we go. I see that we've got some ketchup in the vinegar sauce. Well, now that's just not right. That's just not right at all. Yep, that's how a lot of people feel about it. But uh-oh, I might be echoing. Hold on. I think I just stopped the echo. Sorry about that, guys. Ketchup is definitely not okay for a lot of folks, but I actually do enjoy a ketchup-based barbecue sauce, and I guess you might not call it a barbecue sauce if you don't consider this a barbecue sauce, but Cola T was suggesting, well, now what about the Brada's barbecue sauce? Now, I don't know if this is what you're referring to, Cola T, but I can tell you that this recipe right here was given to my mom from a local lady on the North Shore back in the 70s when we lived there, when we were some of the only Howleys in that area. And I love this particular sauce so much because you can use it as a base to go other directions. It's kind of a sweet sauce without a doubt. As you can see, you've got ketchup, soy sauce, sugar, cheap beer. And by the way, it doesn't have to be cheap beer. It can be water, it can be wine, it can be whatever. And yeah, Cola T, I figured that was the kind Brada sauce that you were referring to, right? So you got ketchup, soy sauce, sugar, cheap beer, bunch of garlic, bunch of ginger. What I like to do is I like to mix mine up in a 2-cup Pyrex measuring cup. Half a cup of ketchup, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of beer, half a cup of everything. And then I cover the top of the liquid with enough ground pepper to like cover the top of that liquid. Because the black pepper to me is, I mean, obviously the fresh garlic and ginger is extremely important, but the black pepper also is super important because this sauce is kind of sweet. And the black pepper does help to give you a little bit of a spicy note. It sort of rounds out and complements the sweetness. And basically, if you don't, and by the way, you don't have to strain the solids if you don't want. But personally, for me, I don't crush or mince my garlic and ginger. I kind of just throw them in big chunks, and I let them simmer it up till everything's dissolved and maybe the garlic and the ginger are a little bit softened. But because the chunks are so big, I then like to strain the solids. Obviously, you don't have to if you have chopped everything up fine enough, or if you like to just have things floating in your sauce just to keep the flavors coming. And this particular sauce, though, what I really like about it is if you add like some chili oil, you can make it a lot spicier. If you add, I like to use a little bit of this sauce and mix it with some chunky peanut butter and use it sort of as a Thai dipping sauce. You can add, like I said, you can add the vinegar, you can add vinegars to make it more sour. It's a really good base, I think, to play with different flavors that you want to, or to play with different directions. You can take the sauce in different directions. You can take it into a spicy direction, a vinegary direction, a peanut buttery direction, as it were. But let's see here. But instead of the sauce that I was just showing off because I wanted to show off my recipe, Kenny's over here bragging about his sauerkraut haul. Canned at your sister-in-law's homemade sauerkraut yesterday. Hoping for 6 or 7 pints. Got 10 pints of delicious, life-affirming sauerkraut. That sounds beautiful. Cola T, that's the basic Brada. I'll be the basic Brada. Or the twisted tita. Wait, that's not what I meant to say. That came out really wrong. We're just gonna stick with basic Brada. Pardon me while I make myself laugh. So, I hope you guys, I'll be posting the recipe for the Brada sauce and the white Alabama white sauce for those who who are curious and maybe want to try it, I will be posting those recipes, so you will be able to find them. And yeah, so, you know, like I said, it is, I know, Pacola tea, exactly, Twisted Tita, has a nice ring to it. Yeah, certainly brings up an image, doesn't it? But one thing I have to say, though, is that particular, the Hawaiian style sauce is the sauce, the kind of barbecue sauce that I grew up with. And as far as I'm concerned, if a barbecue rib doesn't have that sauce on it, then it's just not a barbecue rib. It's just not right. It's just not right. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not so sure I would like that sauce on like a brisket. I don't know about that. But it is kind of nice for a little bit of a glaze at the last second when you've got a steak on the grill and you want to give it a little teriyaki tang, as it were. So I hope that you enjoy that recipe. It's super easy. Like I said, it's equal parts beer, sugar, ketchup, soy sauce, and, you know, and from there, just make it yours. Make it yours. Let's see here. And Shock, so wait, all right, so you posted this a few scrolls ago, but I need to clarify. You said you're from Maryland and your barbecue sauce is Old Bay. Explain yourself. Explain yourself, please. That's not a sauce. Do they have a sauce? Does Old Bay have a sauce? And let's see here. Cindy Krause, you made extra ginger teriyaki with your my ploy and marin to soak chicken in for Lady Titas party. Oh, right on. Oh, shoot. Gosh, I didn't even download those pictures. You know what? I'll have to check those out and post those next time. Old Bay goes on everything in Maryland. Got it. Gosh, you know, I'm not really a fan of Old Bay. I have to tell you, it's not a flavor combo that, I mean, I don't dislike it. I'll eat it, I guess, but I don't know. There's better seasoning mixes out there. And yeah, exactly, Kenny. It is, yeah, Old Bay is just powdered seasoning. And I will say that in, as much as I just said, like, I don't really like Old Bay, because I did just say that, it does need to go, if you're going to do a proper seafood boil, I will concede there should probably be some Old Bay in there. Other stuff too, but if you're going to do a proper seafood boil, I will give you a chance to throw in some Old Bay, because yeah. And SD Dodger, San Pedro shrimp tray spices. Explain yourself, young man. Or more to the point, what? Is that a brand of like seafood seasoning? What is that? I am intrigued. And let's see here. Cindy Krause is saying that, yeah, her chicken was quite popular and it disappeared as soon as it was on the grill or off the grill. Yeah, and the sauce that the little Hawaiian style barbecue sauce that I posted the recipe for, I gotta tell you, you know, I know that people don't like sweet sauces, and I know that people have problems with ketchup-based sauces. That being said, whenever I bring that sauce to a barbecue to like throw on, you know, some chicken, you know, whatever, as you're grilling it, you know, I mean, you want to cook the chicken mostly and then, you know, put the sauce on at the end so it doesn't get all burny. Although actually I have marinated chicken in that sauce as well. And yeah, everybody's liked it. So even though it's ketchup based, even though it's really sweet, people seem to like that little sauce, and it's super, super easy to make. So I encourage you guys to like go play with the burrata sauce. And okay, so SD Dodger is explaining it's a very popular restaurant on San Pedro Bay. You found a video, not official, for their spice mix, and they'll be building a new 3,000 seat facility soon. Interesting. Okay. All right. So now, SD Dodger, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to ask anyway. What's in the spice mix? What kind of spices are they? I mean, I know that they don't want you to know, and I'm sure they don't want me to know, and I'm sure they don't want anybody else to know, but I want to know what kind of spices are in there, because it's probably better than Old Bay spicing, right? Old Bay spicing. Yeah, Old Bay spicing. That's what it says on the yellow tin can. Old Bay spicing. Yeah. Welcome to my world. Yeah. Oh, okay, you're gonna go find it, SD Dodger? Perfect. Also, 3,000 seat, I'm going to assume they mean restaurant. That's huge, dude. I don't know if I'd want to work in that kitchen, and I definitely wouldn't want to be the dishwasher. My oh my. Oh, hey, so while we're waiting for this, I saw this thing online and I thought it was kind of silly. It was very silly, but I wanted to show it to you guys because it made me giggle. So here's a little meme that made me giggle. Yeah, I know, exactly, Shock. Oh, that was bad. I know, it was so bad. That's why I had to share it, because it was so bad. And hubby's family held an annual barbecue cook-off for years. Some years there was over 20 entries, and the judges were under a lot of pressure to name the champ. Oh, I bet. Out of 20. Okay, so now I've got questions, Quality. What was the parameters of, like, barbecue competitions usually have, like, you know, categories like, well, that's the brisket competition, and that's the pulled pork competition, and that's the sausage competition? I don't know. But, like, what were the rules? Did everybody have to, were they all barbecuing the same thing? Or were they all barbecuing the same thing, I guess is the basic question. And then I'll tailor the rest of my questions based on that answer. Yeah, it was a very bad joke, you guys, but I'm glad that you thought that you actually, you know, understood what a U was enough to get the joke, because I have told this joke that I will tell in just a second. I've told this joke to so many people and they like laugh. And then they ask me when they're done, but what's a ewe? And it's just like, a ewe is a female sheep. And if you didn't know what a ewe was, then why would you think this joke was funny? I'll tell you the joke in a minute, but Pequality has come in. The cook-off was all ribs on the grill, and people guarded their recipes fiercely. Okay. I have questions about that, and I'm going to get to it, but the SD Dodger's coming in with the real deal, what we've all been waiting for. Paprika, dry oregano, chili powder, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, Old Bay, and basil thyme. That's hysterical. See, Old Bay is like, as much as I like to say, oh, I don't like Old Bay, it's like, well, you kind of do, because even they use Old Bay. That's funny, actually. I've got to say, SD Dodger, that is funny that they use another brand spice mix in their spice mix. That's funny. And so let's see here. Pequality, the cook-off was all ribs on the grill. People guarded their recipes. Now, when my family used to grill ribs on the grill, they would oftentimes start them in a steam. They would steam them in the oven. Was that method allowed? Or they would boil them sometimes, but, you know, like, was a pre-cook to the grill allowed in that competition, or did the ribs need to be cooked fully on the grill for the entire time? I think that's my question. All right, so now that we've covered a bad joke, now that we've gotten into the spices and barbecue cook-off recipe or competitions, now I want to go back. We're going to talk about that silly, stupid joke. Now remember, you guys, you have to know what a ewe is in order to really get this joke. So a ewe, for those of you who don't know, is a female sheep. Now, I've basically blown the punchline telling you this, but whatever. What's the difference between the Rolling Stones and a Scotsman? The Rolling Stones say, "Hey, you get off of my cloud. And a Scotsman says, hey, McLeod, get off of my you. So that's my joke. Shock knew the joke. Hey, McLeod, get off of my you. That's right. So, Picola Tea coming in with what we want to know about the comp. Some grilled on site, others did at home and brought it to the party. Steaming or parboiling was allowed, but always had to touch the grill. Pre-bottled sauces were heavily frowned upon. Well, of course. I mean, that's yeah. I mean, of course, pre-bottled sauces were looked down upon. I would say that would disqualify you, frankly, but obviously I wasn't there to be a judge. So, oh, good. You guys thought that was so funny. You so pretty. I know, isn't it? Isn't it just a funny little pretty joke? Yeah, you know, and what I don't understand though is like why people who don't know what a U is laugh at the joke, because it's like, you kind of, do you know about Scotsmen and their sheep? By the way, my grandpa came from Scotland. He was born in Glasgow. He played professional football for Scotland. So, you know, I'm allowed to make fun of those Scottish folks because I'm just a little bit Scottish myself. And yeah, exactly. You so crazy. You got it. And Shuck, yeah, barbecue is about the meat, not the sauce, to a degree. But when, like I said though, when you're talking about the ribs as a general rule, always. I don't think I've ever seen ribs that don't come with at least a brushing of sauce on them. But it sounds like SD Dodger might have. It says beef ribs at Pecan Lodge in Dallas need no sauce. But really, you guys, are you all pulling my leg? Because I have never seen a rib that didn't have some kind of. I've never seen a rib, and when this is okay, you guys, we're talking ribs at this point because normally I totally agree. Like barbecue is about the meat. But when it comes to ribs, it's like, that's always got a little bit of sauce. I mean, it might not be cooked on and glazed on and candied on, but it's at least put on before it hits your plate. But SD Dodger's saying, okay, they provide it and you just dip them as you wish. Okay. But, you know, but as Picola Tea points out, beef ribs are kind of their own special thing, and I can totally see why. If any rib is going to go sauceless, it might be a beef rib. So let's see here. C Honda, you thought it was the Welsh and in you. Well, you know, they're both neighbors that might share some neighborly habits together, shall we say. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, but you're not going to find me making fun of the Welsh. Because as far as I know, I'm not. But I will be making fun of the Scots because as far as I know, I am. So there you go. But if you're part Welsh and you want to make that joke, then by all means, I will support you and I will laugh because it's a funny joke. I don't care what you say. It is funny. Oh, hey, that kind of rhymed. I didn't even mean to do that. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove. Okay, yeah, those huge brontosaurus beef ribs your parents had no sauce. Well, what about dry rubs for ribs? I don't know. Frankly, Cindy, I think a dry rub belongs on anything when it comes to barbecue. Doesn't you got to season the meat, right? You know, so yeah, I mean, what about dry ribs or dry rubs for ribs? Fork, yeah. Flying fork, yeah. I would hope. And let's see here. Oh, Cindy Krause, you're Welsh and Scottish? Well, then you can make that joke whatever flavor you want. That's right. You see, Honda, you don't think you're Welsh? I had a feeling you might not be, but you know, you never know these days. You never know these days, so... But yeah, dry ribs, or dry rubs, I keep saying dry ribs, dry rubs for ribs or for chickens or for beefuses or for porcuses or for pork buttuses. I think dry rubs belong on almost everything with the possible exception of sausages, which frankly, I don't really understand the point of barbecuing a sausage to begin with, but apparently barbecued sausage is like a thing, like a big thing. And when it comes to barbecued sausages, I will say, I don't think I've ever seen sauce on a sausage. And I don't think I've seen dry rubs on sausages either. And where? You've been Kay. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're here. As you might have known, we were talking about barbecues. Barbecue. Yes, that's right. And Kenny from the Cove, you have a proprietary dry rub you sometimes put on your steaks before grilling or broiling. Yeah, exactly. You gotta season the meat before you barbecue it, grill it, fry it, whatever, right? And shock, that's about as dumb of a joke as I said earlier. Sausage has the sauce right in it. Just look, it's called sausage. Oh my friend, you and I, we're just silly. We're just silly. Let's see here. And, Shock, and you were at dinner with your folks today? Well, Shock might have told everybody, but gosh darn it, it just flew right over my head. I'm glad you were able to make it after supper. After supper, that's right. And, yeah, exactly, Shock, you do have a point. It's got sauce right in it. But actually though, I am curious, like, okay, so first off, I don't believe in barbecuing sausages, so my opinion about barbecuing sausage is inherently biased and not to be listened to. Okay, but E-Music, you're reading my mind. But my next question is, so do people actually put barbecue sauce on their sausages? And E-Music, of course, comes in before the words are even out of my mouth. I've seen people put barbecue sauce on brat here. Okay, cool. See, learn something new every day. And Kenny from the Cove, you like mustard on the sausage. Right, but okay. All right, well now, I assume you mean mustard, not Carolina Gold mustard sauce, right? Like, and mustard on a grilled sausage makes sense. But like barbecue sauce on a barbecued sausage just seems weird to me. And I know that makes no sense in the world. But when you say you like mustard, you mean mustard, not mustard barbecue sauce, right? So let's see here. Shock. Okay, so we grill sausage all the time. What exactly do we mean by barbecue? In the pit or on the grill? Both are okay. I'm talking about, okay, so grilling on the, like, you know, your Weber or whatever at home, that makes sense. Of course, that's how you cook them. But what I'm talking about is those, you know, the kind of barbecue pits that you've got at restaurants where they've got, you know, the smoke and the whatever, and they've got a sausage rack and they've got a chicken rack and they've got I'm talking about that kind of situation, not just on the grill. And your family loves doing barbecue, meaning smoking foods. They're insistent that grill and smoking are different, and barbecue is more smokier than grilled foods are. Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, for sure. And okay, so SD Dodger, you only get grilled onions and peppers on barbecued sausage. That is how I've always seen it served, which is why I was like racking my brain going, well, wait, do you even put barbecue sauce on a barbecued sausage? Because yeah, the grilled onions and peppers, and God, honestly, and I know this is maybe too much information, but barbecued sausage, which probably is spicier than I want, with grilled onions and peppers, just reading that gives me heartburn. And I actually don't get heartburn that easily, but that is one combo that will give me heartburn. And let's see here. Cola tea, you had puka dog for lunch today, had lilikoi mustard on top, so delicious. Oh, that would be. I'll bet you it's kind of sweet and tangy with a little bit of heat. I have never tried the Lilikoi mustard, but I want to try that. That sounds good. And, okay, so Kenny's saying Kenny confesses, I've used barbecue sauce on sausage, but never a hot link and only German mustard on any German style sausages. My oh my, we've got some rules here. They're logical rules, actually, though. And, let's see here. And you actually have a full-blown smoker with a wood box on the side with the smoking barrel and the water in the bottom, all cooked low temp for a long time. That's awesome. But I'll tell you what, though. I have had I hope you guys are good at that, because I've had some horribly smoked, homemade smoked stuff where, like, it almost tastes like soot. It's just like, I don't know if they were just like so, the flame was so low and the smoke was so sooty, or I don't even know, but man, I have had some really poorly smoked, homemade smoked stuff. And I'm hoping your all's is better. And I wish y'all could come over and teach the guy who sucks at it, because he seems to think he's good. And hey, Rick, live from Rockdam, Wisconsin on a 3G signal. Awesome, Rick. That is so super cool. We are talking about, we're talking about barbecuing right now, and I'd be willing to bet you probably have some opinions. So if you catch this stream later on the rerun, by all means, feel free to comment and let us know everything that we're saying that's wrong. And let's see here. Nice. And where Dad has different piles of different woods for different flavors and different dishes. That's nice. That's nice. And so let's see here. In severe conditions, you will splorp a little yellow mustard on a brat. Well, you know, I mean, mustard is mustard, and you know, you gotta work with the ingredients at hand, right? Right, exactly. And yes, and slurping is for mustards and snorking is for Jello shots. You're starting to figure it out. You're starting to figure it out, girl. You'll be one of us soon enough. Okay, so it looks like we've got about 2 minutes left before we're at the bottom of the hour. I hope you guys had a good time today. I know I had a great time hanging out with y'all, talking about Sauce Talk Sunday. And yeah, like I said, I will be posting some recipes for the two sauces we talked about for sure, the white sauce and the burrata sauce. And hopefully Darlene gets a hello from everybody. And let's see here. So today we've introduced a new word. It is splorp. And I want to thank everybody who hung out yesterday for the movie and who hung out today for Saucy Talk Sunday. Cindy Krause, thank you so much for that 100 biddies. And you are right, Shock, the sausage discussion was just the worst, wasn't it? Okay. All right. Well, we are going to see each other again on Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And then after that, we're going to see each other on Satterbox at the cinema. What are we going to watch next Saturday? I don't know yet, but I'll tell you on Wednesday because I'll know by then. All right. C Honda. Awesome. Thank you so much for those biddies. I'm so glad that all of the little Hamajang Gang crew got to hang out together. And that's right. The Tita Twister is exactly another thing we learned today, but we're maybe not going to make t-shirts for that. Yeah. All right, you guys, super awesome hanging out. I will see you and we will see each other hopefully on Photo Luke, hopefully on Terry from Scotland, but if nothing else, hopefully on Wednesday, Chatter with Statter. All right, take care, everyone.